station that gives you, well, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It's Friday, the 28th of June, 2024. This is program number 1204, and I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Apologies for the late start, but thanks for joining us on 101.1 FM radio, as well as at our website, rcisaintlucia.com. You can also follow us on Facebook. Just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And please be sure to like and share that link as well with your friends and family. The number to call in to tell us what's on your plate, 452-3046. Again, 452-3046, as well as our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. You can call in to that number. You can message in as well if you so choose. Again, that number is 724-0008. Birthday greetings today going out to Tammy Phillip. Happy birthday to you and wishing an absolutely fantastic birthday. Also to Miss Marcella Sentoma, happy birthday to you, and hoping that you're having a splendid birthday celebration. And also to Mrs. Anita Shakuri Paresh, happy birthday to you as well. Hope it's a grand day. History for today, in the year 1838, on this day witnessed the coronation of Queen Victoria. She was age 19 at that time, and it took a 5-hour-long ceremony at Westminster Abbey in London to crown her queen. 1914 on this day saw Franz Ferdinand, the Archduke of Austria, and his wife Sophie being assassinated by a Bosnian Serb assassin, Gavrilo Princip, in Sarajevo, and that set off a chain of alliances and events that led to World War I. 1919 on this day, the Treaty of Versailles was signed in France, ending World War I and establishing the League of Nations. And in 2021 on this day, Tigray forces, or Tigray Defense Forces, retake Tigray's regional capital of Mekele in Ethiopia's Tigray War. And the Ethiopian government declared a unilateral ceasefire to save face, but neither side stuck to it. We now move on to our dish of the day. The Daily Dish is brought to you with the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grocery Lanes, and Flag Street in Viewfort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for today. And of course, we are on a watch of some form, in that the St. Lucia Met Office is monitoring a weather system. And in fact, there has been a government weather advisory issued on a tropical disturbance in the central tropical Atlantic, which may very well impact the Windward Islands sometime over the weekend. And the release reads as follows: St. Lucia Met Services has advised that environmental conditions are expected to support the development of this system, and it is likely to become a tropical depression or tropical storm by the weekend, positioned several hundred miles east of the Windward Islands. As a result of the projected weather developments, worsening weather and sea conditions in the Lesser Antilles are anticipated beginning Sunday night. This weather system is forecast to bring moderate to heavy showers, thunderstorms, and gusty winds to our region. Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, has advised the general public to make the necessary preparations and review their family emergency plans. The Prime Minister urged everyone to stay informed by monitoring updates and information from authorized sources, namely the St. Lucia Meteorological Services, the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, as they will provide accurate information and guidance as the situation progresses. All national and local emergency organizations are asked to take note. Members of the National Emergency Management Advisory Committee, NEMAC, are asked to stand by for a possible NEMAC meeting. And that message coming from that source from the office of the Prime Minister. So, of course, we well appreciate that we are in the hurricane season, and we've, based on the predictions, we're expecting a more active season this year. So certainly, it is a matter to be to watch out for, of course, because we know that these systems can develop very, very quickly, and especially if we're seeing that right now the temperatures that we're dealing with are pretty hot out there. Definitely pretty hot out there. I'm not too sure of the exact figures and whether we're breaking any records, but I think a lot of people are feeling the heat. I know lots of people are thinking about getting some form of mechanical cooling, whether it's bringing in another fan or investing in an air conditioning unit. Lots of people are looking at doing that, and we're going to expect that the demand for cooling is going to rise right here in St. Lucia. In some parts of the world, of course, we're already seeing the impacts of extreme heat, and that's causing loss of life in many instances. And it's a serious business in other places like the southwest of the United States, for example. In Arizona, I remember visiting there some years back, and it actually is considered an emergency if your air conditioning unit has stopped working. And you can, in fact, call the police on this matter, and they are expected to respond and to assist. So it is a very serious issue when we're speaking about heat and the impact that heat can have, especially, of course, on the very young as well as the very aged. And so we definitely have to be quite mindful at this time, as we quite likely are going to be seeing increased temperatures as we are within the summer months. And so we've got to be very mindful of that. But of course, the implications for stronger hurricanes is also stronger weather systems, stronger storms is also quite real because of this heating of the ocean. And we've got to be very, very mindful that these systems can become much stronger than we used to. And we only need to go back to the Dominica's experience with Hurricane Maria, something that was expected and was coming as a Category 1, ended up, in a matter of 24 hours becoming a Category 5 system. And so that is really, really, of course, a matter that is we've got to consider that we may not necessarily have lots of time to prepare, and or rather wait for the announcement and then to prepare. But it sometimes these things can certainly get very bad very quickly, and so we've got to be quite vigilant about them and take, obviously, within the start of the hurricane season at this point, if you haven't taken the necessary steps in terms of preparation, it's a good idea, a good little warning at this point to begin taking the necessary steps to protect family and property. Now, of course, going into the weekend, there's a fair bit of carnival to take in, and We do know that, of course, the many of the pan bands are preparing, and of course, they're looking forward to Panorama, and it's going to be on Saturday night for the ladies vying for the 70th anniversary of the Queen Show. But a step that has been taken in terms of the music is to, in fact, ramp up on the prize money. And that, of course, is in the lead up to the following weekend, where we're going to be seeing the soca as well as calypso finals happening. And in fact, there is an announcement that the prize money has gone up, and there's a release coming from the Prime Minister's office again. Reads as follows: Lucian power and groovy soca and calypso music are essential to the community continuing development of our carnival product. Our calypsonians, soca artists, and musicians create the evolving soundtrack for Lucian Carnival every year. Their music performances draw audiences from around the region and internationally to our island to experience Lucian Carnival. The government is committed to developing Lucian Carnival and supporting the talented artists and musicians who work hard to create the rhythms and songs that energize our biggest annual cultural festival. This year, the first place prize money for each of the three national competitions will increase to $40,000. The Power Soca Monarch winner will be awarded $40,000. The Groovy Soca Monarch winner will be awarded $40,000, and the Calypso Soca Monarch winner will be awarded $40,000. Furthermore, each of the top 10 finalists in the Calypso, Power, and Groovy Soca Monarch competitions will each is guaranteed a monetary prize. Monetary prizes for the Calypso, Power, and Groovy Soca Monarch competitions total $175,000 each. That's $525,000 in prize money for the three national music competitions. So, of course, that indication there that 175,000 per competition is up for grabs, and of course, out of that, the winner will be taking home in the vicinity of 40,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. The other 10 individuals, on average, if you work out the balance of that, the 135,000, it kind of suggests that they may very well be on average about $15,000 available, but I'm not too sure of the exact breakdown. That information has not been provided, but certainly some welcome news in terms of the art form. It may very well be that there are prizes also available, not just for the performers. I don't know if other individuals who are involved in the production are actually also afforded some sort of prizes, as whatever the case may be. But it's certainly good news to see that that people are going to be compensated for their work and what they actually are producing and bringing to the table. It's clearly a lot of work that has to go into arranging, creating, practicing, a lot of effort. And so, of course, on the night itself, even the costumes and the props and preparation and bringing on the fanfare and the pomp that's expected with the finals, that obviously will take a fair bit of resources, and some people may very well argue that that $40,000 may very well evaporate into putting on some of these productions sometimes. But certainly, let's hope that it's something that we can continue to see some effort that people can see. Yes, okay, this is something I can get into and aim to enjoy. In some countries like Trinidad, for instance, we have cars and land and all sorts of other prizes on the table for many of their competitions. and I think it's a good way to bring people on board, giving some incentive in that regard. Now, of course, we've been monitoring the situation at play with respect to Bank of St. Lucia. It appears that there's an ongoing strike at the institution there, and it's now into day 2. And of course, that is quite possibly going to have an impact on a number of people and their business. It is, of course, end of month and a pretty busy time in terms of money shifting and circulating and being transferred and the withdrawals. And so this is certainly coming at a pretty difficult, pretty sensitive time. And of course, the Bank of St. Lucia is the largest indigenous bank in St. Lucia and perhaps one of the largest overall. And if, of course, when this occurs, it can potentially impact, of course, impact customer relations, customer service and satisfaction, and overall could have certain levels of economic implications. There's a story coming from St. Lucia Loop News. Reads as follows. Employees of Bank of St. Lucia entered the second day of strike action on Friday, marking a significant escalation in their ongoing dispute with management. Unlike the preceding day, employees took to the streets, armed with placards, demanding accountability from the bank and calling for the dismissal of the senior human resource manager. The protests began with the disgruntled employees positioned outside the bank, but they eventually crossed the road to the opposite side where management would have been able to get a bird's eye view of the protest. Under the slogan, I care when you care, echoing the bank's own core values, protesters expressed dissatisfaction with the handling of a job evaluation report amid a myriad of outstanding issues. This report, allegedly presented to the National Workers Union, NWU, representatives of the employees, has been contested for its legitimacy. Both the NWU and the employees argue that this action undermines their trust and violates established protocols, including the bank's fraud management policy and code of personal and professional conduct. Rolf Phillips, the managing director of Bank of St. Lucia, declined to comment when approached by Loop News, simply stating no comment. This silence comes amidst mounting concerns over the strike's impact on banking operations and customer service. Long queues formed outside bank branches, reflecting disruptions in service delivery. Customer frustration was palpable, with one customer lamenting, quote, all the protests they're doing, they're not affecting me. Come and do your jobs. Others voiced similar sentiments, expressing dismay over extended waiting times and inconvenience. Quote, something has to be done because I cannot be suffering here for somebody else's crimes, remarked another affected customer. In response to the industrial action, Bank of St. Lucia issued a statement on Thursday acknowledging service disruptions across several branches. The bank assured customers of its commitment to resolving the matter promptly, indicating engagement with the Labour Commissioner for assistance. The situation remains fluid at this time as both parties continue to navigate through negotiations and mounting public pressure. And as I mentioned, that piece coming from St. Lucia Loop News. Unfortunately, there's also a report of a shooting with one individual becoming St. Lucia's latest homicide, and that occurred in the quarter of Ancillary in the vicinity of Millet. And we share that story with you. Gun violence has resurfaced, this time in Millet, shaking the community from a period of relative calm. The victim, Tani Sherabin, originally from Grand River, Grosley, met a grim fate on Friday morning. Reports indicate that Sherabin was fatally shot around 7:30 a.m. by a male known to him. The deceased is said to have been involved in a physical altercation the previous day. Eyewitnesses recounted the harrowing scene where Sherabin was struck multiple times before collapsing lifeless on the ground. Despite efforts to save him, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Sherabin was currently out on bail, awaiting trial for a previous charge related to gun possession. His untimely death has left the community in shock, as some described him as a hard worker and jovial individual despite his unfortunate arrest for gun possession. He was a farmer at the time of his death, selling produce to various supermarkets to earn a living. And as I mentioned, that story also coming from St. Lucia Loop News. Very, of course, unfortunate that we're seeing yet another homicide. It means more work for the police in this regard. And of course, this is also coming right on the heels of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, in fact, announcing significant strides in addressing some of the homicide cases. And in fact, there was an update, I believe, just yesterday regarding some of these matters. Yes, there was a press briefing yesterday by the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. And Assistant Commissioner of Police Luc de Freitas disclosed a number of arrests were made. In fact, with 11 arrests made thus far in connection to the 40 recorded homicides. Well, of course, it's not more than that. But of course, certainly some progress nonetheless. There was also the highlighting of the recent charging of Junior Gabriel, known as Coconut, and he was arrested and charged in connection with the June 8th double homicide at Marsha Castries. In this quoting Mr. De Freitas, I can confirm that the police have charged Junior Gabriel for causing the death of Evitas Lynch at Maynard Hill, Marsha. Acknowledging ongoing investigations into several other homicides, De Freitas expressed optimism about forthcoming charges. He extended gratitude to the public for their crucial role in aiding law enforcement efforts. Quote, we are hopeful of making further progress in these cases, De Freitas remarked, emphasizing the importance of community cooperation. And that's our dish of the day. We're going to head across to take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your room, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to my nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grosley Lakes, and Flag Street in Viewfort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our island-style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's of course on the 1.1. It's now time for your weather report as of terminal today, presented by Island Style Talamba. Forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east in the air 20 miles per hour or 31 kilometers per hour. The weather fair skies becoming cloudy at times with a few brief showers. At first, becoming mostly cloudy with scattered showers, some of which may be heavy and isolated thunderstorms from tonight into tomorrow. Next, the forecast for the lesser entities. Fair skies becoming cloudy at times with a few showers at first, becoming mostly cloudy with scattered showers, which may be locally heavy and isolated thunderstorms from tonight into tomorrow. And the tropical weather outlook matches the low-level clouds drifting along. A moderate easterly wind flow will cause occasional showery periods over the region during the afternoon. A tropical wave located a few hundred miles east of the Lesser Antilles is moving westward at near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. This wave is expected to cause an increase in cloudiness and showers with isolated thunderstorms over the region from tonight. A second tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic is gradually becoming better defined, with showers and thunderstorms showing signs of organization. Environmental conditions are conducive for further development of the system, and a tropical depression or tropical storm is likely to form later today or on Saturday. While its system moves westward near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour, the system is expected to impact our region from Monday. A third tropical wave located over the far eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 70 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. This wave has a low chance of development during the next 7 days. Interest in the Lesser Antilles should continue to monitor the progress of these systems. And this was your weather report as of terminal today, presented by Island Style Talamba.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our island-style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to our program here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046, as well as our WhatsApp number 724-0008, 724-0008. Now, yesterday, I think we began a conversation about the just recently ended annual meeting of the Africa Export-Import Bank, and that happened just last week, I think it was, in fact, in the Bahamas. But we just take a pause on that just for a bit. I think we had a call. Oh no, looks like we don't have. Yes, we do have a call on air already. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Calix. I listened to a number of your program, but I was driving I back into make a contribution and concern in there. A lot of things that I see that needing some way to be here.
Okay, sure. Go right ahead, caller.
All right. I see something I wanted to, if you can take a note, so when I call next time, you can give me an idea. What is the meaning of what you call in, we say human rights? I want to know the two meanings in between human right and rights. And I give an example why I say it. So when you have a time, you get a definition for us. Because when you listen to the Organization of Rights, as to me, my mind, they put in a tables of rights, and then they do what they want. So I don't want just to know what's the human right. So let me give a definition of some example. One is, you see, when a police is somebody, you see they looking for the right for the police. When a man kill one another, they make sure they say the human rights. So I just want to know what's the difference of them rights. They call it human rights. Like example, like Martinez Francois and the other lady I can't remember now. So
well, you have right. So you have a right. I mean, these are rights that we all have.
Yes.
Regardless of anything really, because we are human beings, right?
Yes.
So they're immutable rights that we all have. But the thing about it is that sometimes these rights can potentially be infringed upon.
That's right? That's why I asked the question.
Right. So we all have rights to. We have the right to life, for instance, right? That
nobody can infringe in that one. But when you come in the other position,
but then we also have the right to defend ourselves. And
in what way?
Right, and that may very well cause injury or hurt upon an individual who is trying to do the same to us.
That's correct.
Right? So
but yes, still that's why still not enforced, because I can give an example of it. It's like you get somebody come in your house. You tell that person in your house, you see that person. That person can kill you because he's a witness. And if you put that person on before, they're not telling you, you should call the police. So I ask a question. If you mention, you go to them, all right. What time you can call the police to come at that time? Yeah, the person no weaknesses, and you is a weakness of his activities. That's why I'm questioning what rights. So you have to know which right to deal with, because
generally speaking, most laws that deal with situations where individuals are found within somebody else's property, that is almost and that person may very well be armed or could potentially cause harm for you. You have certain rights to defend yourself. But it gets different though, because then if that person, let's say, has fled, right? Now it may very well be that person. There's a big question there. Has a person fled with another a child, or so? Then therefore you do have the right to pursue and or try to stop that individual. So some use of force is probably going to be allowed in that situation. But generally they say that once the person has, let's say, left the property, right, it perhaps is not right for you to shoot that person in the back.
That's true. So all right, so let me that one for that one for a while. Another one that is critical, and I should try to do effort of it, is you see the police, they try to arm them with cameras, and that is really important. You know why I say that important?
The body cams, right? Yeah.
Because I see, because the police get themselves in too much situation. And I see that is a good assistance for them.
And it's actually a positive for the police in terms of them protecting their own reputation and record. Because quite often we're not seeing what the police is going through, what they are facing, who's coming at them, how are they coming at them, right? So it in fact helps them in their own defense.
That's
right, to establish that yes, in fact, this person was coming at them with a machete or a gun or whatever the case may be.
For the past, I can count in for the past 50 or 20 something years, the police do certain wrongs as well, but the police self have a lot of way they have no defense to themselves, and that will assist them. That's to my mind.
Yeah. So it goes both ways. It protects the police once they're doing their job rightfully, but it also protects the individuals from abuse potentially,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
it actually it serves two very good purposes. Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much.
All right then, caller. Thanks very much
Yeah.
for that point.
Yeah.
And of course, it is a very topical one because we here in St. Lucia, of course, have gone through this entire matter of Operation Restore Confidence. Even before ORC, there have been countless issues of matters brought forward about police brutality, or in any instance where individuals are being held by authority. It may very well be within a prison setting, in other settings too. I mean, in Canada right now and in some parts of the world, it's a big issue in terms of what were known as residential schools, where individuals were put into the care of, and in particular, we were speaking about what they would term First Nations people or Amerindians, Native Americans, as the United States would put it. And there are a number of abuses that these individuals will the children of these families faced as a result of being put into care. So in any situation where individuals are being put into care or custody, there has to be due accountability, because unfortunately, human beings sometimes go overboard in terms of how they treat people, and they treat people unfairly, and all of these things have to have some level of transparency and accountability in this regard. So it is important that even these types of institutions certainly have to ensure that they have a positive image, that people have comfort in knowing that there is redress, even if you are ending up in a situation like a prison. Because number one, a prison should not be a death sentence. It should not. I mean, you may very well have situations where people are wrongfully arrested. Right? We've known these situations. We've seen people who have been wrongfully executed. So even within that setting of a prison, a center for incarceration, whatever it is, that there should be human rights respected of these individuals. And of course, that is changing significantly how these places are, in fact, even designed, and how they actually operate, and the standards that they hold, that they need to uphold. And so it's very important that, again, in terms of the prisons, that there's good reporting, that there's a good sense that individuals are not being mistreated, they're being well fed, they're getting opportunities to improve themselves, and that's all very good overall for the society. And because it's very easy to think sometimes, well, we're just going to put somebody in prison and the problem is just going to go away. Unfortunately, it never works that way, and so therefore the readoption of these individuals back into society, that's also a really important thing, and it really should be that these institutions are truly rehabilitating the individuals who are going in there. Let's take in another call at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hi, good afternoon. Talking about the human rights, you said that if somebody's fleeing, somebody have actually done. Example, you in your home, you hear something, you come down, let's say that come downstairs, and you see the person just about maybe stab or rape or do something to a member of your family. And the minute they see you, they're fleeing, and you take something, you take even from the back, you still are wrong.
Well, I think you've got to be clear as to the extent of force that is being used there. So I think if you can show that this person has already harmed an individual, then there's good justification to believe that they may try to harm you too. So the circumstances there will have to be very careful. But I'm saying if they're on the property, then maybe you can actually take certain actions. But It's a very careful. It's a very in some instances you may have to be very careful that it may be that you're not trying to exact your own form of justice by taking the life of the individual. That's that might be what some people think is fair, but it actually is not necessarily fair. So that's really the issue there. It should not be to the point where you're trying to kill the person, basically.
But you have to take into consideration too that sometimes actually see somebody murder or do something to a family member of your love partner, something, and you can, the rate you have at the time, you're not even thinking, and you can run after that person and get them because sometimes these people get away and they do
They
what they
do.
do.
They do, and we I mean, caller, we see these kinds of things in movies sometimes.
Yeah.
You know that the person has broken into the house, and the individual then goes on this chase to find this other person who has ended up hurting, harming a member of their family, right? But if we are to be quite honest about it, it's actually not necessarily. It's not actually the form of justice that we recognize as being acceptable, right?
So then, is this why now they do not hang anybody? Is it because of the right to life that decide that people will they allow people to take the minimum, the maximum, or whatever it is in
Mm-hmm.
jail instead of hanging them because of how heinous the crime might be?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That I think is one of the fundamental points there. Yeah, that it cannot simply be an eye for an eye or life for a life, and that continuous process of
But that I understand.
which is a never ending sort of cyclical state where we all end up will have to die basically because somebody will want to take
That
revenge
I
on
am
behalf
not.
of this person and what have you.
That I am not for. The minute that you maybe if you have to spend a life in jail or whatever, I am for that because to me at the end of the day, the person that is doing the hung is also is to me is a killer too because you're taking a life. It's you that have to pull the whatever it is to hang the person. You that have to inject. You two
Mm-hmm.
are committing some kind of murder too. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of executioners I'm sure, would have had their own psychological issues and
Yes,
challenges
because you're doing
to
that.
go through, without a doubt. It's not a, yeah, it's. I think it's definitely not a very, it's not sustainable to go that route.
No, because you need to be consul, frequently when you have to be doing those kind of things.
And some people think that, oh well, it's your job, you do it, that's your responsibility, which is why sometimes they want the
They realize
police.
that.
Sometimes that's why they want the police to be the ones to be executioners, and that's not the role of the police.
No,
No, it's
they
not.
just
So it's not a message that we quite often want to hear, that this person did something absolutely gruesome, absolutely horrendous, right? And it's to a person, a loved one, a member of your family, your child, your mother, your I mean, whoever it may be, right? And to say that, look, you expected somehow to go through the process of seeking justice, and you see, and that's why we things like the court system
they sometimes them excuse themselves when it comes to a family member.
can be and it can be very, very, very frustrating, and very, I mean, that whole process is very, very difficult for a lot of people. And so if justice is very slow, if it is, it can be very, very hurtful when people think that, look, wow, you took the life of my loved one, and all you get is um some time in jail, and then you have the maybe even the possibility of being released, in 20 years or whatever it is. It's very, very hurtful for a lot of people. But
Especially down here, so I find. Because if I take example one, this gentleman that had disfigured this young lady, she was 25 at the time.
some of these are even worse. Exactly, when people are maimed.
She is paralyzed, crippled on
Mm-hmm.
one side because she's a member of the same. she is not able to see. She can only use one hand,
Mm-hmm.
one of her feet, all of these things. And this gentleman was called like he just leave her totally, totally disabled.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
blind, you cannot, and only 8 years. Only 8 years and he's out.
So
Come on.
therefore, the nature of sentencing is something I think certainly needs to be looked at, in terms of, is it just this a period that is time bound? What is given back? What is the reparation to the injured family or the injured person? And I think sometimes that is not fully captured in the sentencing. The sentencing, because remember, in the criminal matters, invariably it is the state that is taking the person. You have committed a crime, right? So the state is the one that is acting, right? But you as an individual, although the crime was committed against you or a member of your family, right? There's quite often almost no reparation to that individual. Now, does the state take it upon themselves to provide? Right now, in some places, that's what happens. You have, because the individual may be maimed, you've got a lot of resources that are made available for persons who may have, who become disabled as a result of some act, or so the resources, maybe there's psychological damage that was, or harm that was caused, and the state pays for that. But unfortunately, in our system, we don't necessarily always have that in place, and that's something that we have to be very conscious of.
I don't know if you was aware of this case in the United States where this young woman, she was married to a guy, she had a child with him, just like this young woman here. Because of the late reaction of the police, her husband was able to kind of cripple her. She's only able to use one hand, one side, and the state had to pay this woman millions of dollars because the police, they said at the time, when
the police were negligent.
So many.
Okay. Yeah.
Reports.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's all very, that's a good point, caller. I think, and again, that's the issue of these laws and human rights and the state's right to protect, right? The state's right to maintain law and order. So yes, the state does have this right to protect human life. And
I ask you one question.
Yes.
Those Jamaicans, Trinidadians, and Guyanese, when they come down to San Jose, can they use the currency to shop or do anything?
Not that I am aware of. No.
They can't use it.
No.
Okay. So
we don't accept. As far as I'm aware, and I mean, of course, this may depend on a business, but in terms of legal tender, I mean, of course, you have the EC dollar, which is our currency, and very many places also accept the US dollar, but that's actually a practice that I guess you could say is it's a de facto practice. It's not stipulated.
But it's only Barbados money that I know they're changing. When you have one Barbados dollar, you get 132. But Trinidad, Jamaica, and Guyana dollars, they are not. You cannot come down here and do anything with it.
Some places, I mean, may argue. I'm not saying it because the Barbados dollar is fixed, just like the EC dollar against the US dollar. And so, in such circumstances, somebody may decide, hey, okay, well, I might accept Barbadian dollars, but it's not the norm. In some places, of course, they accept US cash, but we can see in other instances there are limitations as to what types of notes they take and how much of it they will take. But officially, really and truly, the only currency that is de jure is that of the EC dollar. But we do know that there's a practice of accepting EC dollars. I'm sorry, US dollars. And in some instances, some people will accept euros. They may accept other maybe Canadian dollars. I don't know, but maybe pounds. But
I accept pounds.
But you see, again, if you accept pounds, then the pound varies. Yeah, so we only fix against the US dollar. So you're taking a risk pretty much under any other currency in terms of it could potentially devalue or over time if you're accepting it in that. So
So then why don't they just have one currency for all these Caribbean countries, including Trinidad and
oh well,
Jamaica
caller.
and Guyana?
A lot of it has to do with control. A lot of countries they want to be able to control their own monetary policy. They don't
But
want
then
to.
we have regional travel.
Well,
So
it
if
would make it a
if
lot
I go into
easier.
Trinidad, I want to go to Jamaica, I have to go. Again, they were not thinking of politics. You're pushing regional travel and all of this thing, but yet all of y'all have different currencies, and sometimes it's not even worth anything at the back of it.
The thing about it too, though, is that we're running two sort of separate monetary systems. In that we have the Eastern Caribbean is pegged; it's a fixed rate system, all right, against the U.S. dollar. Whereas with the case of Trinidad, Guyana, and Jamaica, their currencies float. So that you have variations against other currencies, and so the question is, and if you're trying to achieve a unified currency, um, would it be a floating currency? Would it be, and to some degree too? Remember that um, these countries are told that, well, it's their benefit to have it floating because they've got large maybe commodities. In the case of Trinidad, and it would have been oil and gas, and Jamaica bauxite, and Guyana it was traditionally bauxite and what have you, and now oil and gas as well. So they were encouraged to um, have currencies that would shift.
The Eastern Caribbean
But
is Janssen.
but in so I'm not sure how it would operate necessarily in terms. I mean, there've also been suggestions that we just simply do away with all our currencies and go to a single currency. But yeah, at the end of it all, I think a lot of times some of these countries, a lot of countries, they want to be able to control their monetary policy. They want to be able to control whether how they print their money and engage in.
But does it make sense to do that?
Does it make sense to?
I want to control their own money when we are supposed to be just one Caribbean.
Well, it might be beneficial to them sometimes, but not all the time. Not all the time. But caller, we're gonna have to put a pause on it there though because we're already out of time. My apologies. And thanks very much for calling on that one. Very interesting conversation indeed, which we'll have to continue maybe next week. That's the program for this week, and we do hope that you can join us again on Monday, God willing, for another one. I'm your host, Calix Shaw Jr., saying goodbye.